Husband overheard my best friend bragging about cheating and decided to divorce me BC of that. WTF. My husband is divorcing me because my best friend cheated. She cheated and is still married, but I'm the one turning into a divorcee. It sounds funny, right? Well, my husband is actually doing this to me now. I'm getting divorced for a stupid reason. Now you might ask, how did all these happen? It all started from a conversation. Yes, my best friend was having a conversation about cheating, and then that conversation has gone on to ruin my life. The worst part? My best friend decided to make things worse for me even when I needed her help. Hold up. You might want to ask, what do I mean by a conversation? How did my husband even get to hear it? Okay, let's begin. I'll be going by the name Clara, and I'll refer to my husband as John. I've been married to him for the past 4 years, and we have a daughter together. I work at a retail store while my husband is a business admin at a particular company I cannot mention. So John and I have struggled to make a comfortable life for ourselves. We've basically been through the bad and the good together. That's why it hurts me now to know that our marriage is ending, over a very stupid reason. It all started over 2 months ago after my best friend visited me at the house so she could confess a secret to me. The name of my best friend is Eliza, and we've been best friends since high school. Eliza texted me about an emergency, and as her best friend, I didn't think twice before inviting her to the house. Eliza got married recently, by the way. So when Eliza came to the house, she told me she had to tell me something. Normally, I would cook for her and entertain her as my guest, but she just wanted to speak immediately. It was a Saturday, and John was also at home, so we were in the living room together. Eliza politely asked him to give us space to talk, and he agreed. I was really happy that John gave us the space to talk, but little did I know that he had his own hidden intentions in mind. Before I could even process what was happening, Eliza was already telling me how she cheated on her husband. It came as a shock to me at first because I knew that Eliza and her husband were newlyweds. Not really newlyweds words in the sense that they just got married, but newlyweds in the sense that they had been married for 2 years. Eliza has always been a girl who follows her heart and do stupid stuff. She has always been the wild one in our friendship, and it's something I got used to with time. So even though it kind of came as the surprise to me, I wasn't really shocked that Eliza had cheated on her husband. But the most surprising thing was the fact that she was not guilty about it at all. In fact, it was some sort of accomplishment to her because she told me how proud of herself she was. According to her, her husband had been a very bad husband for the past 2 years, and he had neglected all her needs. She told me of the way he never gave her financial help when she cried to him and the way he was always broke, according to him. Eliza spoke to me about how she had suspicions that he was giving people money, but when it came to her, he was always broke. Even back in high school and college, I had to get used to Eliza's free spirit and her ability to speak her mind. Even though she might not be friendly at times, I had gotten used to the way she was because she is my friend. Eliza is also someone that is very interested in living a soft life. She doesn't like stress and doesn't want to work, and that's why she's a housewife. I am mature enough to respect people and their preferences, and as my best friend, I have never thought about using that against her. So when Eliza was bragging to me about cheating on her husband, I didn't feel the need to talk her down or make it seem like she was making a big mistake. I respected her decision and asked her to tell me everything about the issue with her husband. I actually ended up getting angry at her husband when I discovered that he was neglecting her needs. I mean, why shouldn't I get angry? He knew that she was a woman that had demands and didn't want to work before he married her. So why was he suddenly neglecting her? This was what I thought, and I said the same thing to my best friend. Oh my God, guys, what I didn't know was that the conversation was not safe from my husband's ears. I actually had no clue that he was listening in on what we were saying, and I just carried on talking and supporting my best friend because that is what friends do. Eliza went on to tell me that she got tired of the neglect in the marriage and decided to go find pleasure elsewhere. She told me she was proud of herself for putting her happiness first and that she didn't regret cheating on her husband. She also said that she needed to tell someone, and that's why she told me as her best friend. She then went on to ask me if I said that she did anything wrong. I was put in the spot at that moment, and at first I didn't know what to say. I had always known that Eliza was someone that likes her confidence and her independence, so it wasn't hard for me to understand why she would want to cheat. So when she asked me the question that she asked me, I actually took a minute to think of what to tell her. Eliza had also mentioned that she was suspecting that her husband was cheating on her or had plans to, so she decided to cheat on him first because of her pride and ego. She's my best friend, not her husband, and so I can only judge based on the things I hear from her. That's why I made my judgment and told her that I didn't feel like she did anything wrong as far as she was happy, because at the end of the day, her happiness is my happiness. She also told me that she had plans on divorcing him because she knew that the both of them were toxic for each other, and so that's why I felt like there was nothing wrong for her to shoot when she had a plan to divorce him anyway. That's it, guys. That's where all the drama actually started from. That single conversation I had with my best friend is the reason why my own marriage is ending now, and my best friend is still married to her husband. I am not the one who cheated, but it is my own marriage that is scrambling, and it is my own husband that is dragging my name through the mud. Not in a million years would I have guessed that he was actually eavesdropping that day and listened in on our conversation without our knowledge. I had no single idea that everything I was saying was being recorded, and then it would end up being one of the major pieces of evidence to a mistake I didn't even commit. Now you must be wondering, are you even serious, or this is just an exaggeration? Well, it is not, because 2 days after that conversation with Eliza, my marriage literally started falling apart. Joint started giving me the worst attitude ever, and it was evident to me that there was something that was bothering him, but he didn't want to tell me. He started sleeping outside late and gave me an unnecessary attitude. I had to start asking myself if we had a fight, and I forgot about it because the attitude and overall behavior change was just too much. Is it the fact that he was suddenly disappearing from the house without telling me like he normally would? Or is it the fact that he stopped answering my early morning greetings? I don't even know the one to start from first. I was left to think that I did something wrong when in reality I didn't do anything. I got fed up with his behavior and decided to confront him about everything, and that is when I actually realized I married a baby. Because why would you want to use something that happened in my friend's marriage against me? We are not even talking about an activity I carried out. For crying out loud, it was not even supposed to listen in on the conversation without letting me know first. Isn't that kind of a very bad thing to do? We had requested for privacy, but instead he invaded our privacy, and then even after invading our privacy, he decided to do something stupid like eavesdropping and recording it. When I confronted John about his attitude and asked him why he was being so difficult, John told me it was because he realized that he had married a very loose woman without any morals or sense of reasoning. Now imagine a woman who thought she was happily married suddenly hearing this from her husband. I practically went crazy. In fact, I went off on him so much that he could not even breathe to keep listening to the rants. Because why would my husband suddenly start calling me names which I was even giving me an explanation for his reasons? Listen, I am a very peaceful woman, but this situation has had me thinking and overthinking for so long. I am angry, and I don't think this answer is going to subside anytime soon until my husband decides to cancel this device, because I'm very well not ready to get divorced because of another person's mistakes. I asked him to give me a very good explanation of what he was saying, and at the end of the day, he ended up spilling the worst things I've ever heard. He told me he could not stay married to a woman that would believe that cheating on her husband was wrong. At first, I was kind of lost because I didn't understand what he was saying and because I had forgotten all about the conversation I had with Eliza. That was until it specified that he was talking about my conversation with Eliza. He asked me why I thought it was okay to tell her that she did the right thing by sitting on her husband. He also told me that he could not stomach the fact that I actually agreed with her and commended her for cheating on her husband. I was really shocked that he had heard that conversation because, like I said, never in a million years did I think that he had overheard everything. The fact that I had confronted him thinking that I would end up winning the conversation, and then I was met with a topic that I hadn't even prepared for, really made me unstable. Of course, in a situation like that, the best thing I could think of was to try to play a fool and act like no conversation like that had ever taken place. I had to deny it because I wasn't prepared and didn't know what to say to defend myself. Well, that didn't end up going well because even after I denied the truth and acted like I didn't know what he was saying, I was still left in an unstable situation. In fact, denying it even made matters worse for me. John gave me the biggest surprise of my life when he brought out his phone and then played the audio recording of my conversation with my best friend Eliza. Trust me, you cannot even imagine the level of shock. For someone who had lied and denied everything he said, hearing a recording that said otherwise had to be the most embarrassing thing ever. Our voices were so clear that it was obvious to me that she had left his phone in the living room and I had no idea about it. Because the conversation started from the moment he left and our voices were so clear, so it made sense that he didn't leave the living room with his phone and had decided to record the conversation. Let it be known that I didn't really deny the conversation because I felt like I did something so bad. I denied the conversation because I wasn't prepared and didn't know what to say to defend myself. But when he gave me the evidence, I had no choice but to say something. I tried to make him understand, first of all, that he was wrong for recording me and my friend's conversation. I actually felt like my privacy had been invaded and it didn't make any sense. But John wasn't ready to listen to me at all. He told me that wasn't the person matter at hand. and that he needed to know why I thought it was okay for Eliza to cheat on her husband. I explained to him that my advice to Eliza wasn't necessarily my own view on life, and that I was just trying to be there for your friend. John was really angry and told me there was no way he was going to trust a woman that advised her best friend not to feel guilty about cheating. He told me he would be the biggest doormat in the world if he pretended like he didn't hear me telling my best friend that she was not wrong for cheating. I tried my best to explain to him that I was just trying to give Eliza advice based on this kind of person she was, but instead he told me that he found my excuses disrespectful, and that I was trying to suggest he was a simp by bringing up all the stupid excuses. Since I got married to John, I think it's safe to say that we had never argued for so long like we argued that day. The argument was just so intense, and we said a lot of hurtful words to each other. I was practically hurt because his accusations were an insult on my character, and he was making it look like I was some sort of loose woman, which I am not. I begged John to listen to me and give me a chance to speak to him, but instead, he asked me to just explain why I felt like Eliza was right. I told him I felt like she was right because if her husband was intentionally keeping his finances away from her and treating her in a bad way or even cheating on her, then it was okay for her to go look for happiness elsewhere. I told him I wasn't particularly in support of her cheating, but since she had done it already, I just felt like there was no need for me to make her feel more bad. I explained that I just felt like I would have talked her out of it if she came to ask for advice before cheating, but since you had cheated already, there was nothing that could be done. There was not a single word I said that day that changed John's mind. He was just really helping or not listening to me and making up scenarios in his head. I tried my best to explain that my views on Eliza's issues were different from my views on our marriage, but he told me that it was hard for him to trust a woman that spoke the way I did that day. John explained that if a single woman had given that advice, it would have made more sense than a married woman saying that to a fellow married woman. He said it was hard for him to trust his wife after that, and that it just felt like I had a different mission in mind than what he expected. John actually just walked out of the conversation after that and didn't bother to wait for me to explain anything to him. I tried my best to call him back so I could talk to him, but he didn't listen to me. I was really worried that night because it felt like my whole world was falling apart. I mean, John seems like it was very angry, and I had never really seen him that angry in our marriage before. I couldn't understand why you were so concerned with Eliza's issue and why he didn't want to let it go. I know that some of the things I said would have rubbed him the wrong way, but it was a girls' talk, and girls try to say the things that would help each other sometimes. It didn't mean that I was planning to cheat on him or that I had any previous plan to cheat on him. It just means that I was trying my best to defend my friend. Guys, a lot of things actually happened during the past 2 months, and it has not been funny. My marriage actually started breaking one by one. I really tried to beg Join to have a change of mind, but it seemed like the more I tried to resolve on issues with him, the more he would say something I wouldn't like, and I would say something you wouldn't like, and then we would have more issues and bigger problems than we had before. We started arguing a lot, and we just seemed to disagree on a lot of things. The worst part is that we stopped listening to each other altogether. John told me that he just could trust me anymore, and then I told him that I just couldn't trust him too. I was angry that he wasn't giving me the benefits of doubt, and he was angry that I wasn't even ready to listen to him. It became a thing where we stopped communicating altogether and just started seeing each other in weird ways. But then the part that really gets to me is the part where my best friend decided to come into the mix and cause me more harm than good. She decided to insert herself in the situation, and instead of helping me, all she wanted to do was ruin my marriage right in front of my eyes. When everything became evident that things were not going to get better, I decided to ask my best friend for help. It only makes sense that I would run to her because she's the one everything revolves around. She's the one that brought up a topic that has been giving me nightmares. I went to her and told her everything that happened from beginning to the end. I explained how my husband and I had not been on good terms since the conversation I had with her. I practically poured out my heart to my best friend because I felt like she was my safe space. She listened to me, calmed me down, and blamed my husband for everything that happened. She told me that John was wrong for judging me based on a conversation and that I had no fault in the issue. I listened to her and decided to go back home happier than before. It made me happy that someone else was seeing things from my own perspective. But then things didn't end up getting better from there. Instead, things got worse, and my best friend's selfish motive was revealed before my eyes. Can you believe that Eliza went behind my back to tell John that she was on his side because she supported his decision to divorce me? She told him that I was a bad friend for supporting her when she cheated, and that I was wrong for not reprimanding her. Can you believe the nonsense? She cheated and had the audacity to leave the moral advice to me? Am I her mother? I couldn't believe that Eliza would be so selfish. She turned her back on our friendship and decided to use me to cover up for the mistakes she made. After telling John she regretted cheating and felt like I could have done better to reprimand her, she played the pity game and made John feel like I was the bad one. Do you know why Eliza did that? Just DK she could stay married to her husband. Yes, I feel like I've gone crazy as a result of all the stupid things that have been going on in my life. Eliza realized that she wanted to save her marriage, so she decided to go get on John's good side. She wanted to make sure John didn't think of going to tell her husband the truth. John doesn't know her husband, and she used that to her advantage. She has decided to stay married to her husband, so she wants me to end up getting divorced. So when I try telling her husband the truth in order to get revenge, it would look like I'm making up stories. She doesn't trust our friendship anymore and doesn't want me to hold a secret over her head that I could use anytime. She's so foolish that she thinks I want to ruin her marriage. She's the one ruining my marriage, for crying out loud. It really hurts me to know that all these things are happening to me when all I wanted to do was be there for a friend. John has refused to listen because he feels like I could cheat on him any time, and the words I said that day keep playing out in his mind. It's safe to say I'm done for guys. I regret it all. I really do. Update, and just like that, I'm paying for someone else's sins. Yes, guys, I'm actually divorced. We're still in the process, though. In 2 weeks, everything will be finalized. I'm still asking myself how the hell we ended up here. Just a conversation led to this? What the actual hell is this? I'm angry, tired, livid, and emotional, but it is what it is. But I'm also happy that I got my revenge, even though I didn't really have to do any. Karma helped me. I took the recording out of John's phone and sent it to Eliza's husband. He had been suspecting her movements before, so the recording only proved him right. If I had to go down, I just had to make sure I didn't go down alone. She betrayed me first when all I did was try to be a good friend. So I had no choice. I heard her husband sent her out of the house. Whether they get divorced or not, it's none of my business. I do regret my choice of words in my conversation with Eliza because I can now see why John couldn't stomach it, but I still hate him for ruining our home just like that. I was ready to do anything to save my marriage. I begged, but he refused. But it is what it is. I'm just glad we have joint custody of our daughter. But I really have to say this was all messed up and unfair. It was all just unnecessary, but it happened.